Hello friends. If you were born on January 26th, you're not just another Aquarius. You're a cosmic enigma with layers that could make a galaxy blush. From the surface, you might seem cool, collected, even slightly aloof, but peel back the layers, and you'll uncover a universe of intensity, innovation, and surprisingly deep emotions. Let's take a deep dive into who you are, from astrology and numerology to ancient traditions like the Celtic tree calendar and Vedic wisdom. So, what makes January 26th so special? Buckle up. The Aquarius Influence, January 26th Zodiac Profile. If you were born on January 26th, you're a full-spectrum Aquarius, a rare soul touched by stardust and sculpted by the unpredictable hands of Uranus. This planetary ruler doesn't deal in convention. Instead, it bestows upon you a restless, electric mind and a heart tuned to frequencies others haven't even discovered yet. You aren't here to play by the old rules, you're here to rewrite them, remix them, and in some cases, tear them down completely. Aquarius is the visionary of the zodiac, and your birthday gives you an extra layer of brilliance mixed with defiance. You're not just dreaming of the future, you're building it, often from scratch. Your presence is both calming and disruptive. People are drawn to your originality but can feel challenged by your refusal to conform. You don't live life on autopilot, instead, you make conscious choices about how you live, love, think, and even rebel. You're often ahead of your time, leaving others wondering how you always seem to know what's next. And truthfully, sometimes even you don't know, you just feel it in your bones. That's the Aquarius magic. Innovative. You are a creator at your core, an inventor of ideas, lifestyles, and realities. For you, following the crowd feels like a betrayal of your soul. Whether you're designing a new business model, reimagining how a relationship can function, or just hacking your daily routine in unexpected ways, you don't simply adapt to change, you initiate it. People may think you're quirky or unorthodox, but give them a few years, and they'll be following your lead. Your ideas often seem strange at first, only to be hailed as genius once the world catches up. Independent. Freedom is your fuel. You need space to breathe, think, and be. It's not that you don't value connection, you absolutely do, but it has to be on your terms. When you're pressured to conform or compromise your sense of self, your first instinct is to distance yourself. You value solitude because it helps you recharge and reconnect with your essence. You don't mind walking alone if it means staying true to your vision. People often mistake your independence for aloofness, but it's actually integrity, you're fiercely loyal to your inner truth. Unconventional. Normal is a word that rarely applies to you. You thrive in the weird, the wild, the unexpected. Your way of thinking doesn't follow a linear path, it loops, spins, inverts, and transforms. This makes you magnetic to some and mystifying to others. Your lifestyle might not look like anyone else's, and that's exactly how you like it. You're the person who wears boots to the beach or turns a side hustle into a revolution. You break molds because you've never fit into one, and you wouldn't want to. Humanitarian. At your core, you care deeply, about people, about justice, about making the world better. You might not always express it with traditional warmth, but your concern for humanity runs deep. You think in terms of systems and solutions, and you're always wondering, how can we fix this? Whether it's through activism, technology, education, or art, you feel called to contribute. You don't just want to succeed, you want your success to ripple outward and uplift others. You're driven not just by ambition, but by a genuine belief in progress and equity. Emotionally complex. You wear a mask of calm detachment, but beneath that cool exterior is a swirling sea of feeling. You're sensitive, not in a sentimental way, but in an intuitive, perceptive one. You pick up on energies, undercurrents, and unspoken truths. This emotional depth can be hard to express, especially because your intellect often gets in the way. You analyze your feelings before allowing yourself to feel them. Still, when someone earns your trust, you open up in profound, poetic ways that reveal just how intricate and beautiful your inner world really is. Love, sex relationships. Love, for someone born on January 26th, isn't painted in pastels or wrapped in clichés. You don't care for grand romantic gestures just for the sake of tradition. For you, love is a multidimensional experience that starts in the mind, blooms in shared vision, and only later trickles down into the heart. You want a partner who sees you, not as an idea, not as a role to be filled, but as the beautifully complex being you are. Emotional independence is not just a preference, it's a necessity. You need space to think, to breathe, to be, and yet, you still crave intimacy. Not the kind that clings, but the kind that resonates. Love, to you, must feel like a partnership between two sovereign souls building a private universe that doesn't need outside validation. Relationships are most successful for you when there's a sense of mutual curiosity, two people exploring each other's ideas, fears, philosophies, and growth paths with open minds. You don't just want a lover, you want a fellow traveler, someone who won't flinch when you reinvent yourself again next month. You are drawn to partners who are fearless in their originality, people who have tasted the edge of life and didn't run from it. In romance, you seek depth without confinement, passion without possessiveness, and closeness without codependence. The result is often a bond that is as intellectually stimulating as it is emotionally profound. In love. You are fiercely loyal once emotionally engaged, but you resist emotional entrapment. A love that feels too tight, too scripted, or too traditional will leave you suffocating beneath the weight of expectations. You thrive in dynamics that are fluid, trusting, and based on mutual respect for each other's individuality. You're not interested in the merge love story, where two people become one. Instead, your ideal relationship involves two strong, whole individuals who choose, daily, to be in each other's lives because they want to, not because they need to. Your heart is seduced by the brain. It starts with a conversation, a spark of shared curiosity, or an unexpected philosophical twist. Words matter to you, witty banter, challenging debates, soulful discussions. You want to know what someone thinks before you care how they feel. That said, once you're emotionally invested, your love runs deeper than most people realize. You may not always express your emotions in traditional ways, but they live in your gestures, in your loyalty, in your unspoken commitment to help your partner grow. Routine in love is your enemy. You want surprise, spontaneity, and ongoing evolution. A partner who can keep you guessing, challenge your ideas, or push you to think differently is a partner who will hold your heart. You may seem emotionally distant at times, not because you don't feel, but because you're constantly analyzing your emotions. You need time to process before you can express, and you're most compatible with those who don't rush or pressure you into emotional immediacy. You are turned off by emotional dependency or drama. Grand declarations and tearful ultimatums don't impress you. Instead, you're drawn to subtlety, the gentle, consistent signs of devotion that don't require spectacle. You appreciate people who give you space without making you feel like you've pulled away. Above all, your love language is respect for your autonomy. When that's honored, you give your partner an experience of love that's wide open, endlessly creative, and deeply sustaining. You are not easy to love in conventional terms, but for those who understand the beauty of freedom within connection, you are unforgettable. You don't seek love that completes you, you seek love that expands you. And when you find it, you become a partner who inspires, supports, and uplifts like no other. In sex. For someone born on January 26th, sex is not a habit, a duty, or a checkbox. It's a deeply personal, imaginative experience that exists far beyond the boundaries of physical gratification. To you, sexuality is an evolving language, a way of communicating desire, trust, vulnerability, and freedom, all at once. You're inherently curious, always seeking new layers of connection. If sex becomes too routine or expected, you begin to detach, not from your partner necessarily, but from the act itself. You thrive on unpredictability, not for shock value, but because it mirrors the way your mind works, complex, inspired, nonlinear. What turns you on more than anything else is the mind. You need mental foreplay, an exchange of ideas, laughter, or even philosophical banter before you're ready to explore physically. Someone who can engage your intellect makes you feel safe enough to unleash your deeper passions. The physical act means little if it's not tied to a meaningful psychological or emotional exchange. The idea of sex as exploration, of each other, of your shared fantasies, of your individual limits, excites you far more than simply going through the motions. You're open to a wide range of experiences in the bedroom, but not for the sake of being provocative. You're motivated by curiosity, not attention-seeking. You want to understand what makes both you and your partner tick, what turns them on, what blocks them emotionally, what fantasies they've never spoken aloud. You're not shocked by anything, instead, you listen and engage with calm, open-minded enthusiasm. That openness creates a sexual environment that is trusting, expansive, and often deeply healing for your partner. You're also highly intuitive when it comes to pleasure. You may not always express emotions easily in daily life, but in sex, you can become almost empathic, able to read what your partner needs without them saying a word. You view physical intimacy as a sacred space for transformation and play. You want to blur the line between body and mind, between fantasy and reality. That may mean experimenting with role play, power dynamics, sensory experiences, or simply trying things you've never done before. As long as the experience is consensual, you're game. You also need variety, not necessarily in partners, but in experience. If the sexual connection starts to feel too routine, your energy can drift elsewhere. This doesn't mean you're unfaithful, in fact, you're usually extremely loyal. But you need a partner who is open to evolving with you, to exploring new things, and to keeping that intimate spark alive not just through novelty, but through depth. You want to feel like you're growing together, not just physically, but emotionally, intellectually, and erotically. In marriage. For someone born on January 26, marriage isn't a final destination, it's a collaborative journey. You don't marry to settle down, you marry to rise up, to build, explore, and expand your life in partnership with someone who not only supports your freedom but actively participates in it. You resist traditional definitions of marriage that suggest ownership, duty, or stagnation. To you, the idea of marriage as a completion of oneself feels outdated and even a little insulting. You're already whole, you want a partner who recognizes that and still chooses to walk beside you, fully aware of your autonomy. Your ideal marriage feels more like a partnership between two visionaries than a conventional domestic setup. You want to be with someone who dreams big, thinks boldly, and isn't afraid to break the rules if it means living a more authentic life. A co-conspirator who supports your offbeat ideas, joins your wild projects, and believes that marriage can look however you want it to look. That could mean shared businesses, long-distance living arrangements, creative collaborations, or completely reimagining family life. The traditional picket fence may work for some, but for you, it would feel like a cage unless it's reimagined to reflect your values and vision. Emotional intimacy in marriage is essential, but you also need space. You thrive when your partner understands that alone time isn't rejection, but replenishment. You need periods of independence to recalibrate, innovate, and return with renewed energy. A spouse who clings or demands constant connection may trigger your desire to flee, not because you don't care, but because you feel stifled. The best marriages for you are those where freedom is foundational, not feared. Where trust runs so deep, constant proximity isn't required to prove commitment. You also need intellectual stimulation within the marriage. A partner who stops growing, learning, or questioning life will lose your interest over time. You need someone who keeps up with your curiosity, who can pivot from discussing politics to psychology to outer space all in the same night. Your conversations with your spouse should feel like an endless road trip for the mind, full of detours, surprises, and breathtaking views. Ultimately, you marry not because society tells you to, but because you found someone with whom you can build a future that's uniquely yours. Someone who's not afraid to challenge norms, travel uncharted paths, or throw away the script in favor of something better. Your marriage, when right, becomes a beacon, proof that true commitment doesn't mean giving up yourself. It means choosing, again and again, to build something revolutionary together. Friendship. If you have a friend born on January 26th, you're not just lucky, you've got yourself a living paradox in the best way. This is the type of person who may ghost you for 2 weeks because they're lost in a passion project or off-grid in some spiritual deep dive, but the moment you really need them, they'll show up like a lightning bolt, precisely when it matters most. Friendship with someone born on this day isn't casual, it's intentional, layered, and deeply authentic. They won't give you surface-level affection or fake empathy. Instead, they offer something far rarer, realness. They're the friend who won't just sit and cry with you, they'll cry and help you find a solution by morning. To you, friendship is a sacred contract. You're not in it for the numbers, the selfies, or the networking perks. You gravitate toward people who are different, outsiders, thinkers, dreamers, and rebels who don't quite fit into the mainstream narrative. You form deep bonds with those who value freedom, creativity, and individuality. You don't care if someone's popular or traditionally successful. What matters is that they're genuine. If someone shows up authentically, flaws and all, you'll meet them there with full presence and fierce loyalty. However, you're not the easiest person to get close to. Trust doesn't come quickly for you. You observe first, testing for consistency, watching how people treat others, listening for truth between the lines. Once someone proves they're emotionally safe and intellectually honest, you let them in, and when you do, it's all in. You're the friend who remembers your people's childhood dreams, who sends articles they'd love at midnight, who helps move apartments with 0 complaints and a playlist ready. But if someone betrays your trust, even once, the connection can snap in an instant, and may never fully mend. You also need space in your friendships. Social obligations, constant small talk, or emotionally draining people can burn you out fast. You're most alive when friendships feel fluid, not forced, where it's okay to not talk for weeks and then pick up like nothing happened. Your best friends understand this ebb and flow. They don't take it personally when you disappear for a bit, they just know you're off recharging, dreaming, or reinventing your life again. And you always come back, wiser, funnier, and more you than ever. You're most compatible with other air signs who understand your mental velocity and respect your independence. Fellow Aquarians mirror your ideals, Geminis keep you mentally stimulated, and Libras offer that elegant balance between connection and freedom. On the flip side, emotionally intense or possessive friends, like unhealed Cancers or Scorpios, can feel overwhelming. Unless they've done serious inner work and learned to manage their intensity, their energy can feel like quicksand to you. You need friendships where emotions are shared but not weaponized, where growth is mutual and boundaries are honored. Career business. A January 26th individual isn't built for mediocrity. In the professional world, you're more architect than employee, someone who doesn't just work within systems, but questions whether the system should exist in the first place. Uranus, your ruling planet, blesses you with a visionary mind and an insatiable curiosity for the future. You don't work just to pay the bills, you work to change something. Whether that means disrupting an outdated industry, inventing something new, or reshaping the way people think, your career must have meaning. Without that, you'll burn out, check out, or walk away without warning. You shine in fields where innovation isn't just allowed, it's required. Tech, progressive design, social justice, media, space exploration, psychology, renewable energy, entrepreneurship, you're at home in any profession that lets you challenge norms and offer fresh solutions. You don't want to be managed, you want to be mentored, and only by people who respect your independence. Traditional corporate structures drain your soul unless they're progressive, adaptive, and centered on innovation. You're far more productive when given autonomy and trust than you are with micromanagement and hierarchy. You're a natural at seeing the big picture. While others are caught up in rules and rituals, you're already 5 steps ahead, sketching a vision that hasn't even been conceived yet. This foresight makes you excellent at strategy, product development, and leadership, especially in future-facing roles. You don't just solve problems, you reinvent the framework around the problem. Your mind is constantly downloading new patterns and insights, and while this can make you a powerhouse, it can also be overwhelming. You sometimes generate ideas faster than you can execute them, which means you benefit from partners or teams that help bring your visions to life. You operate with an internal code of ethics, even if that code looks different from traditional standards. You despise dishonesty, hypocrisy, and corporate doublespeak. If a company or project doesn't align with your ideals, you won't fake it, you'll either rebel, confront it directly, or leave altogether. You crave integrity in your work, not just success. When your values and your mission align, you become unstoppable. You bring passion, creativity, and a kind of genius that can't be taught, only trusted. Still, you're not without challenges. You get bored easily, especially if the work becomes repetitive or bureaucratic. Authority figures who lead by ego rather than merit can trigger your rebellious streak. You need to feel that your time, talent, and ideas matter, otherwise, you'll mentally check out even while physically staying on the job. You also have a tendency to jump to the next idea before finishing the last one. Your mind moves at such high speed that sometimes, you forget to anchor your brilliance into something tangible. Grounding your visions in structured execution is the key to long-term success. Ultimately, your career isn't just about what you do, it's about what you create, disrupt, and transform. You were born to be a force for change. And whether you're starting your own business, working within a movement, or launching something that hasn't even been imagined yet, you're not just working for money, you're working to build a future no one else has dared to dream. Compatibility with other signs. For someone born on January 26, love and connection are all about energy alignment, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. As an Aquarius, you're not just looking for chemistry, you're looking for synchronicity. You crave partners and friends who operate on your wavelength, curious, bold, and a little offbeat. You're highly independent and naturally resistant to emotional codependency, so your ideal matches are those who understand how to love you without trying to own you. The zodiac can offer clues about this kind of compatibility, not as fixed rules, but as patterns of energy that help or hinder emotional synergy. You find your deepest joy in relationships where there's space for freedom and thought-provoking conversation. You don't need someone who finishes your sentences, you need someone who surprises you with a totally different perspective. Mental stimulation is everything, and if a person can't meet you on that intellectual level, the spark fades fast. Fire signs tend to match your intensity and sense of adventure, while fellow air signs align with your love of ideas and autonomy. Earth and water signs, while potentially rewarding, often require more patience and compromise due to their contrasting emotional or practical nature. Most compatible. Gemini is your ultimate brain match. Conversations never end, and both of you thrive in relationships that are built on curiosity and mental connection. You challenge each other without stepping on each other's independence. Gemini is spontaneous and witty, and their ever-changing energy mirrors your own. Together, you're the couple who debates ideas over midnight snacks and starts creative projects, just because. You speak the same language, and neither of you gets bored. Libra brings you emotional balance and social finesse. With their sense of fairness and aesthetic sensibility, Libra adds grace to your vision. They won't try to cage you emotionally, but they will bring structure to your chaotic ideas. Libras are natural harmonizers who can help smooth out your more rebellious tendencies while still celebrating your individuality. This relationship flows effortlessly when grounded in mutual respect and shared ideals. Sagittarius is a fellow explorer of the unknown. Both of you crave novelty, freedom, and meaning. Sagittarius pushes you out of your mental realms and into real-life adventures, while you offer Sagittarius the depth and big-picture thinking they adore. This is a high-energy, future-focused connection where nothing feels static or limiting. Together, you create a life full of travel, growth, and philosophical rabbit holes. Aries is your match when it comes to boldness, confidence, and a "let's do it" attitude. They understand your need for independence because they need it too. There's a rawness to Aries that can jolt you out of overthinking and into action. While they're more impulsive than you, their fire lights up your skies, and your cool logic often tempers their heat. If both of you learn to compromise, this pairing can be electric and enduring. Least compatible. Taurus is often too rooted in routine and tradition for your experimental soul. While they crave security, you crave change. Taurus might see your need for freedom as instability, while you might see their stability as suffocating. They thrive in predictable patterns, you thrive in organized chaos. You may admire their grounding energy from a distance, but up close, the disconnect can feel frustrating. Scorpio's emotional intensity can be magnetic at first, but over time, it may overwhelm your need for emotional space. Scorpios are all or nothing, deeply passionate, private, and sometimes possessive. You prefer clarity and openness, while Scorpio speaks in code and subtle power plays. Unless both parties have a high degree of emotional maturity and self-awareness, this pairing can quickly turn into a power struggle. Cancer is deeply nurturing but often emotionally demanding. Their desire for closeness and emotional reassurance can clash with your preference for personal space and intellectual connection. Where you want conversations about the future of society, Cancer wants cozy evenings and heartfelt check-ins. While there's potential for growth through difference, this connection can easily turn into a mismatch of needs and expectations unless handled with extraordinary care. But remember, astrology isn't meant to lock you in, it's meant to help you understand. Compatibility is never about absolutes. Any two signs can build a strong relationship with communication, respect, and shared vision. Your chart is more than your sun sign, and your partner's chart is more than theirs. What truly matters is self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and the willingness to grow together. You may surprise yourself by falling in love with someone completely incompatible on paper, only to find that they awaken something extraordinary in you. Numerology of January 26th. The date of your birth carries the vibration of the number 8, a life path associated with power, resilience, and destiny. This number is ruled by Saturn, the planet of discipline, karma, and achievement, which adds a fascinating counterbalance to your Aquarian energy. While Uranus encourages you to rebel and reinvent, the number 8 grounds you in purpose and ambition. You're not here to live a small or average life. You're here to build, not just for yourself, but for others. You're a natural architect of visions, empires, systems, and legacies. People with an 8 life path often possess an innate understanding of structure, strategy, and leadership. You see patterns others don't, especially in business, politics, or social innovation. You're wired for success, but not in a greedy way. Money and status aren't the goals, they're the tools. What you truly seek is impact. You want your work, your words, your presence to shift something important in the world. You're not afraid of responsibility, in fact, you often feel most alive when you're shouldering something meaningful. This life path number also gives you a certain magnetic presence. People sense your inner authority, even if you don't shout it from the rooftops. You walk into rooms with quiet power. You're not always the loudest voice, but you're the one people listen to when it matters. Your energy commands respect, not through force, but through clarity of purpose. When you speak, people feel like you mean it, and that's because you do. Still, the 8 path isn't always smooth. It comes with lessons in balance, especially between material success and emotional depth. You might struggle with overworking, perfectionism, or feeling like you always have to be on to prove your worth. The key is learning to trust that your value isn't just in what you produce, it's in who you are. When you align your personal passions with your professional goals, you become unstoppable. Ultimately, being born on January 26 means you carry both the wild spark of Aquarius and the determined soul of an 8. That's a rare and powerful blend. You're here to challenge the status quo, but also to build something that lasts. Whether you become a founder, a thought leader, or a social architect, your destiny isn't about following paths. It's about paving them, for yourself, and for everyone bold enough to walk beside you. Druid Horoscope, the Celtic tree astrology. According to the ancient wisdom of the Druid tree zodiac, people born on January 26 fall under the spiritual guardianship of the cypress tree, one of the most enduring and quietly powerful trees in the forest. The cypress represents a unique kind of strength, less about brute force and more about resilience, integrity, and inner stillness. Much like the tree it's named for, the cypress personality is tall in presence, rooted in deep values, and remarkably flexible under pressure. You're not flashy, but you leave a strong impression. Your essence is marked by grace and grit, two traits that rarely exist so beautifully side by side. You are someone who moves through life with quiet purpose. You may not always make the loudest entrance, but you always make an impact. People sense there's something different about you, something grounded, calm, and wise. You have a deep soul, one that's seen a lot, felt a lot, and chosen to grow anyway. While others may flail in chaos, you endure. You adjust your branches, shift with the storm, but you never uproot. That's the cypress way, bend, but never break. Strong, adaptable, and passionate. There is a quiet fire burning within you, steady, not explosive. You don't rush into things without thought, but when you commit, you do so with full intensity. You're passionate about the causes, people, and principles you care about, and you'll defend them with unwavering loyalty. Strength, for you, isn't about aggression, it's about persistence. You're the one who keeps going when others give up, not because you have to prove something, but because your spirit doesn't know how to quit. At the same time, you're not rigid. You're incredibly adaptable. You know how to pivot when life throws curveballs, adjusting your path without losing your center. It's this rare blend, fiery commitment and gentle flexibility, that makes you a powerful force in any room, team, or relationship. Honest to a fault. Truth is your native language. You speak it, live it, and expect it in return. Sugarcoating or manipulation just aren't in your nature. You'd rather say something uncomfortable than lie to make someone feel better, and while that honesty can sometimes ruffle feathers, it also earns you deep respect. People may not always like what you say, but they trust it. And in a world full of noise and performance, your raw, no-frills authenticity is refreshing. You also hold yourself to the same standards. You're your own harshest critic, always pushing to grow and improve, even when no one's watching. Your moral compass is sharp and unshakable. You don't do gray areas. When something's wrong, you name it. When something's right, you fight for it. Often wise beyond their years. Even as a child, you probably felt a bit older than your peers, more aware of the deeper undercurrents in life. Cypress people have what some would call an old soul. You absorb lessons quickly, often learning through observation and inner reflection rather than trial and error. You may give off a grounded, almost teacher-like energy, even if you're not trying to. You understand things about people, their motives, their fears, their pain, that others miss. This wisdom makes you a magnet for those seeking clarity or comfort. People come to you for advice because they can feel that you see them, not just on the surface, but at their core. And you don't judge. You illuminate. Able to weather emotional storms and still stand tall. You've been through things. Maybe more than most people know. But instead of becoming bitter, you've become deeper. You've learned how to sit with sadness, navigate uncertainty, and still hold on to your purpose. While others might shatter under pressure, you transform. You're not afraid to feel deeply, but you don't let your emotions control you. Instead, you use them as a compass, guiding you toward greater self-awareness and empathy. This emotional resilience makes you incredibly reliable. You're the calm in the storm, the friend who shows up when things get hard, the person who doesn't flinch when others fall apart. You don't pretend everything's fine, but you also don't lose your footing. Your strength is in your steadiness. You are like the tree you're named after, tall, graceful, and deeply rooted, but flexible enough to sway with life's chaos. Everything about you mirrors the cypress itself. Your height isn't just physical, it's energetic. You carry yourself with dignity, and people instinctively look to you for direction. You may not always try to lead, but you often end up doing so, simply because of the way you move through the world. Your roots run deep, into family, truth, heritage, justice, or spiritual grounding. You don't need external validation because your self-worth is built on something internal and enduring. Yet, even with all that stability, you're not immovable. You bend with grace when life demands it, letting go of rigidity in favor of growth. Flower horoscope. Your flower is the orchid, one of the most elegant, complex, and symbolically rich blooms in the botanical world. Orchids are not basic flowers, they don't grow just anywhere, and they don't bloom for everyone. They require the right environment, the right care, and the right energy to unfold their full beauty. Sound familiar? That's because the orchid is your soul mirror. It represents refined strength, rare beauty, and deep inner transformation, qualities that define people born on January 26th. Like the orchid, your presence is subtle but unforgettable, delicate but powerful. Emotionally complex. On the outside, you may appear calm, logical, or even a bit detached. But underneath that surface is a rich tapestry of feeling, nuanced, layered, and impossible to summarize in one word. You don't wear your heart on your sleeve because your heart isn't a billboard, it's a private sanctuary. You feel everything deeply, even if you rarely show it. This emotional depth can make relationships challenging at times. Not everyone is equipped to hold space for your inner world. But for those who earn your trust, you reveal a universe of emotion, creativity, and empathy that's nothing short of extraordinary. Mysterious. There's something about you people can't quite put into words. A quiet intrigue, a sense that you know more than you let on. You don't spill your whole story right away, and honestly, you shouldn't. Mystery is part of your magic. You speak when it matters, observe when it doesn't, and often notice things others miss. Your ability to keep people guessing makes you magnetic. People are drawn to you not just for who you are, but for how little they can predict about you. You're never just one thing, and that's exactly why you're so compelling. High in personal standards. You don't settle, for relationships, for jobs, for anything. Your internal bar is high, and it's not based on perfectionism, it's based on truth. You want real connection, real value, real meaning. You don't waste time pretending, and you expect the same authenticity in return. This makes you a little intimidating to people who aren't used to being seen clearly. But it also makes you trustworthy, because people know you'll never flatter just to please. You believe in excellence, not for applause, but because your soul won't accept anything less than what's genuine. Often misunderstood, but deeply beautiful inside and out. Because you're not loud or easily defined, people may misunderstand your quietude for disinterest, your independence for aloofness, or your complexity for inconsistency. But those who take the time to truly know you quickly discover how wrong those assumptions are. You're not hard to understand, you just require effort. And when someone does invest that time, they discover a rare, radiant beauty, a person with a thoughtful mind, a brave heart, and a spirit capable of holding immense love, vision, and grace. You are, in many ways, like the orchid, a living contradiction, delicate and resilient, intricate and grounded, mysterious and luminous. A one-of-a-kind soul meant not to be picked, but cherished. Stone horoscope. If you were born on January 26th, your soul is vibrationally tied to one of the most powerful and evocative stones on earth, garnet. This isn't just a pretty gem, it's a deeply symbolic talisman that reflects your complexity, passion, and inner fire. Garnet is the stone of commitment, protection, and raw, transformative energy. It mirrors your natural ability to love fiercely, think boldly, and move through life with purpose. Wearing or working with garnet doesn't just enhance your aura, it fortifies it. It brings structure to your wildest dreams and shields your inner flame from the winds of doubt, envy, or emotional sabotage. At your best, you're a visionary. You're brimming with ideas that stretch the limits of imagination. But your challenge is often grounding those ideas into tangible form. Garnet meets you there. It's the perfect counterbalance to your air sign tendencies, helping you turn flashes of inspiration into structured plans and real-world action. Its earthy energy stabilizes your inner world, encouraging follow-through, practical discipline, and perseverance without sacrificing your creative spark. Garnet roots you without restraining you, allowing you to dream and do. Energetically, garnet is also a protective force. You're someone who draws attention, even when you're not trying. Your energy is magnetic, your presence unique, and that can make you a target for emotional vampires, jealous peers, or psychic noise. Garnet acts like an energetic firewall. It doesn't isolate you from the world, it just helps you stay centered in yourself. It reinforces your boundaries, clears out emotional clutter, and ensures that your compassion doesn't turn into energetic exhaustion. It reminds you that protection isn't about walls, it's about sovereignty. Garnet also speaks to your relationship with passion, whether romantic, creative, or spiritual. It heightens desire and devotion, not just in love but in any area where heart and purpose collide. It's a stone that fuels commitment, to people, to causes, to your own soul mission. For Aquarians like you, who often walk the edge between emotional detachment and deep caring, garnet creates a powerful bridge. It helps you feel fully without losing yourself. It anchors your intentions in the heart space, helping you make choices that are bold but still aligned with your truth. In addition to garnet, your energetic matrix connects strongly with two other powerful crystals, amethyst and labradorite. Amethyst boosts intuition. Amethyst is your third eye amplifier. You already have an intuitive, visionary mind, but amethyst turns the volume way up. It sharpens your insight, enhances your inner knowing, and helps you connect dots that others don't even see. For someone like you, who often operates at a higher frequency, amethyst acts as a stabilizer and an expander. It brings clarity to your instincts, allowing you to trust your gut without second-guessing. It's also incredibly calming. When your thoughts are racing or you're overwhelmed by emotion, amethyst brings your spirit back to center, quieting the noise so the wisdom can rise. Labradorite fuels transformation and protects your aura. Labradorite is pure cosmic magic. Known as the stone of transformation, it resonates with your Aquarius nature on a deep level. You're someone who is constantly evolving, changing careers, identities, missions, and perspectives. Labradorite not only supports that constant transformation, it protects you during it. Its shimmering surface mirrors your own complexity, and it reinforces your energetic boundaries during periods of growth. When you're stepping into a new version of yourself, whether creatively, spiritually, or professionally, labradorite shields your aura so you can take those leaps without fear. It reminds you that transformation isn't chaos, it's your natural state. Together, these three stones, garnet, amethyst, and labradorite, form a triad of support for your entire being. Garnet grounds and protects, amethyst awakens your inner wisdom, and labradorite empowers your metamorphosis. Think of them as allies, not just crystals, but energetic tools that help you stay balanced, visionary, and untouchable in your own lane. Vedic Astrology. In the ancient system of Vedic astrology, also called Jyotish, your birth on January 26 places you under powerful cosmic currents that go far beyond the typical sun sign analysis. Depending on your exact time and place of birth, your moon sign, which is central in Vedic charts, is likely Capricorn Makara Rashi. This gives you a fascinating mix of practical grounding and progressive vision. Whereas your Western chart emphasizes the inventive, future-forward nature of Aquarius, your Vedic moon sign adds a layer of responsibility, discipline, and long-term focus. It's a dynamic duality that gives you both wings and roots. As a Capricorn moon, you are internally wired for endurance. Emotions are felt deeply, but expressed cautiously. You don't wear your heart on your sleeve, you guard it, often hiding your tenderness beneath layers of stoic resolve. But make no mistake, your emotional loyalty runs deep. You care with quiet intensity. You show love through actions, consistency, and commitment. You may struggle with vulnerability, but when you trust someone, your devotion is unwavering. People often underestimate your emotional depth, but those close to you know you're anything but cold. You just protect what matters. This Capricorn influence also enhances your work ethic and need for purpose. You are the builder, the strategist, the one who doesn't just dream, it delivers. You want your life to matter in tangible ways. Whether it's through career, family, or public impact, you need to leave something behind that proves you were here. Vedic Capricorn moons are known for their ability to endure hardship with dignity, climb slowly but steadily toward their goals, and lead others by example. You're not about shortcuts, you're about legacy. If you were born later in the day, your moon may shift into Aquarius Kumbha Rashi, which amplifies your social intelligence, intellectual detachment, and desire to reshape the world. Kumbha Rashi natives are innovative thinkers and collective visionaries. You see systems, structures, and societal problems not just as things to critique, but as puzzles to solve. This makes you especially drawn to activism, science, technology, and collaborative leadership. You're less concerned with how things have always been done, and more focused on how they could be done better. Your life path involves challenging norms, embracing individuality, and creating blueprints for a better future. Adding more nuance to your Vedic identity is your likely placement in the nakshatras, or lunar mansions, most notably Shravan or Dhanishta, depending on your exact birth time. Shravan, ruled by the moon, is associated with wisdom, listening, and the gathering of knowledge. If your moon falls here, you are a natural student and teacher, someone who absorbs information deeply and shares it meaningfully. Your life may involve communication, education, or spiritual work. You often serve as a bridge between tradition and progress, bringing ancient truths into modern light. Dhanishta, ruled by Mars, is dynamic and musical, a sign of rhythm, leadership, and performance. If born under this nakshatra, you have a commanding presence and a strong drive to succeed. There is often a deep love for music, movement, or sound-based healing. You lead not just through words, but through your ability to energize and inspire. People follow your rhythm because it feels authentic, electric, and alive. Whether your Vedic moon rests in Capricorn or Aquarius, whether you're born under Shravan or Dhanishta, one thing is clear: you are a soul with both purpose and power. Your path is not about conformity, it's about clarity. You're here not to repeat the past, but to build a future that aligns with your deepest inner truth. Vedic astrology doesn't just tell you who you are, it tells you what you're meant to become. And for you, that means rising, leading, and transcending, one grounded, visionary step at a time. Spiritual lesson. At the heart of your cosmic assignment is a truth both empowering and complex: you are here to disrupt, rebuild, and elevate. You didn't come into this world to blend in or to walk the well-paved path. Your soul chose this lifetime to act as a catalyst, for thought, for change, and for awakening. You are the blueprint shifter, the one who sees what others accept and whispers, "What if there's a better way?" That whisper becomes your mantra, your mission. Whether you're challenging traditions, breaking family patterns, or imagining entirely new futures, your life is meant to leave an imprint, not by fitting in, but by standing out in a way that inspires others to rise. This role isn't always easy. Changemakers often walk alone at first. You may find yourself misunderstood, even rejected, for questioning what others take for granted. But your resistance to the status quo isn't rebellion for rebellion's sake, it's rooted in a deep intuitive knowing that things can be better, that humanity can evolve, and that you can play a pivotal role in that transformation. The universe didn't ask you to follow, it asked you to lead, not through ego or authority, but through vision, authenticity, and courage. Your spiritual lesson begins when you accept that your difference is your destiny. A major theme in your journey is the dance between independence and connection. You're fiercely self-sufficient, almost to a fault. You protect your freedom like sacred ground, and for good reason. It's where you think clearly, dream wildly, and express truth without distortion. But in that solitude, there's also a quiet ache, a longing to be known, to be seen beyond the intellect, beyond the role, beyond the ideas. Letting people in, however, feels risky. What if they don't understand you? What if they try to change or contain you? And yet, your growth lies precisely in that tension. Your soul came here not just to change the world, but to experience love within it. To find the kind of relationships that honor your need for space and support. You don't need to give up your freedom to connect, you just need to find those rare people who understand that freedom and intimacy can coexist. Your spiritual lesson is about vulnerability. Not as weakness, but as radical strength. Letting someone witness your complexity, your brilliance, your fears, that's the next level of expansion. Another layer of your spiritual growth lies in integration. You are a being of paradox, logical and visionary, grounded and ethereal, deeply feeling yet emotionally private. Instead of choosing one identity over the other, your evolution depends on your ability to hold all of it. To be a builder who dreams. A rebel who listens. A leader who also needs love. You don't need to choose between your head and your heart. You're here to harmonize them, to live a life that is both revolutionary and real, both inventive and intimate. Finally, your soul is here to elevate, not just yourself, but others. Whether through your work, your words, your presence, or your example, you're meant to uplift. That might mean showing others what's possible by living fearlessly. Or it could mean offering wisdom, humor, or hope to those still finding their way. Either way, your impact is undeniable. You shine a light in places others fear to look, and you do it not because you crave attention, but because your spirit can't not illuminate. You are here to rise, and bring others with you. Final thoughts. If you were born on January 26th, understand this, your existence is not ordinary. You carry within you a frequency that hums just slightly outside the spectrum of most people's awareness. It's not easy being ahead of your time, but it's also what makes you unforgettable. You are someone who straddles two worlds, the rational and the mystical, the structured and the boundless. Your mind lives in tomorrow, but your heart longs to be held in the now. You are both an innovator and a seeker. And the world, in its current state, needs exactly that. People may not always know how to categorize you, and that's a good thing. You weren't meant to be boxed in. You are not a role. You are a movement. A frequency. A quiet revolution dressed in human form. There's a rare kind of beauty in how you approach life, with curiosity, with depth, with defiance, and with care. Every time you choose authenticity over acceptance, you expand the path for someone else to do the same. Every time you speak your truth, even if your voice shakes, you give others permission to rise. So don't tone it down. Don't shrink to fit. Don't wait for the world to catch up before you shine. Keep dreaming. Keep building. Keep pushing boundaries. But also, keep softening. Keep opening. Keep trusting that there are souls out there who will meet you exactly where you are and love you for all the ways you refuse to be typical. Your destiny isn't written in the stars. It's etched into your every choice, shaped by your every risk, and fueled by your every breakthrough. You are the author, the architect, the alchemist. You don't just read the story, you write it. And the next chapter? It's going to be brilliant. If you resonated with this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a cosmic nudge. For more insights into astrology, personal evolution, and the mystical art of being fully you, check out the links in the description for our weekly newsletter and social media channels. This is your sign. Your spark. Your permission to live unapologetically. See you in the next video.